there.
Yeah. So awesome, Ashton. So thrilled that you joined on here. Just a little context. In our group, you asked a question, and
Mhm.
I was like, man, it's such a good question because we get this question quite often. But I wanted to answer it, capture it, so that we could actually push this out to other people, this question that you had. So with that, let's jump into it. Let's hit your question
Perfect.
and talk to me. Let me fix my camera. You see this weird like zoom in stuff? I
I
got
know.
I got this new camera, and it's
Okay.
cool until it's not cool, right? And then it's like
Yeah,
going in and out, in and out.
I get it. I get it. No, so my question was super important to me because I never get to really do this, but my question was, how often should a married couple go on dates? And I ask this not even with like a budget in mind or anything like that, because I think that money has nothing to do with dates. That's just what I think. But
Yeah,
my question is, why and I got this because I felt this in my marriage. Why are dates important? How often should we go on them? And should it be a time clock? Should there be a time clock on your time to date each other in your marriage? And I ask that because personally everything in my life had so much going on that everything's like, we have to do this by this time and this has to be done by this time and whatever. And
yeah,
we honestly like never date anymore. So
yeah.
I just want to know, what is healthy? How is that healthy? And how often is an appropriate number of dates that you should go on in your marriage?
Let's go. I absolutely, I love it. I loved it. I loved it when I heard it. And first of all, let's go for you for asking the question, and getting in there, getting that group in this, and you're also so active. You're always active in there, and
Yeah.
that's why I was like, you know what, you have a question. We're gonna get on a recording, and you're gonna get my
Thank
full
you.
one-on-one zeroed in attention on this question. Well,
I love it.
three parts really, but I'm gonna zero in on a couple. The first deal is I remember when Cammy and I, that's my wife. For anybody that doesn't know that, but
You
Cammy and I,
said,
you know her, she loves you. Um, uh, we were in a space, and it was crazy. Not coming from the space where you're coming from, like, hey, let me figure this out. But we were actually like, it was tense, it was brutal, and the advice that we got, and it comes from such a good place. The advice that we got was that just what you said: date more. You need to go on dates, schedule them, lay them out. And what I found was that we started doing that. We said, you know what, let's do it. We're gonna get together. We're gonna get out there. We're gonna date. We're gonna talk about things. And what I found was you can fight just as good at Denny's, right? as you can at home. And so the issue was, that it's not, there is I'm going to give you something here at the end here, as we kind of plow through some. I'm going to try to hit all your questions. If I miss one,
mhm,
just say, hey, you didn't touch this one. The very first foundational piece is, when you get ready to go on your date, you have to do something I called lighting the pilot, right? We used to have this little gas stove, and back in
okay.
the day, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It had that little blue flame on the
Yeah, I
side.
grew up in a trailer
And
where you had to light it yourself.
yes. Well,
Yeah.
I'd turn it on, and I'd have it on. I'm smelling gas, and nothing's happening. I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting upset. So I turn on more gas, turn it up higher. And until finally someone stopped me and said, hey, you're gonna blow your house up, right? You're gonna blow. I was young, of course. You're gonna blow up the house. So you have to light that little light pilot first. And we're like, okay. So then you figured out, if I put my the match down that little hole, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Strike the match, and
Yeah.
then it lights, and then voila, you add gas. Well, dating is adding the gas. Vacations, let's go to the Cayman Islands, right? That's all gas, and there is some benefit for it, but it does nothing for you if the pilot isn't lit. Okay, so the very
Mm.
first thing, so we're gonna hit this systematically. The very first thing is, before you start scheduling dates and figuring out a schedule, we're gonna talk about that as well. The first thing is the pilot lit? And here's how the pilot stays lit. Pilot stays lit from small daily task. And if this isn't clear, I was gonna
No,
come
this
here and
is
just riff
good.
for you, okay? Um,
This is good.
small daily tasks and interactions, right? That light the palette. We call them bids, okay? They're just these small interactions. For example, warm hellos, warm goodbyes for some people are huge, right? For other people, it's a word of affirmation. If you talk about the five love languages, nothing big, but they're just small interactions that say, "Hey, I'm here," and "Hey, I see you." That those two words, those phrases, "Hey, I'm here," "Hey, I see you." I'm gonna capture that because I'm gonna start pushing that out some other places. So my first question for you, I don't know if you got pen or paper.
No, you're good.
First question I have for you, um, in your day-to-day life, what are some ways that you might say, "Hey," no, I'm not saying actually, "Hey, I'm here," and "Hey, I'm here, see you," but what are some ways that you may be asking for attention, or your husband may be asking for attention, not a big deal, but just zeroing in, on you. It's like, "Oh, man, it was a rough day at work. Wow, really? I hate to hear that." Done. Nothing big, just those small interactions. What are some ways that for you make you feel just a little bit connected or close when it comes to small actions daily to keep that pilot lit?
Okay, so it's so funny that you're saying this because this is like a conversation I've had for the past month and a half. So for me, like I want to wake up next to my husband in bed and him be like, "Good morning,"
Good
and
morning.
just like thank the Lord for the day. You know, like every single morning, the first thing I do is I read my devotional scripture on my phone. And I'm like, "Thank you, Lord, for the day and everything you've given me." And I lean over and I'm like, "Good morning," hug, kiss, get ready for the day, gotta get the baby up, everything like that.
Game on.
Um, Cody is not a morning person anymore. He is like he works second shift, and
Woo.
he gets home super duper late. The
Yeah.
last thing he wants is to be touched or hugged or anything in the morning. This man used
Try cold
to, and
water.
I
Maybe he just wants cold water.
yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah,
no, don't
basically.
do that. Don't do
But
that.
like I feel like sometimes, and he used to be so different whenever he worked a more normal like
Right.
9 to 5 schedule. And I understand that and I would tell him like, "Hey, can you just say like hello or when you come in the house from, running your errands in the morning, can you like come in and not walk past me, like just like greet me?" And I feel like he is so good at greeting people and for me, I just want that same, like, not even affection, but like that same acknowledgement, if that
Good.
makes sense. Like, I see you. I love you. Hi, how are you? And he has done so well this past week. I actually thanked him. I was like, "Thank you so much for taking what I asked of you and like putting it into action."
Huge.
But that is
Huge.
my biggest thing. Like, I just want to be acknowledged when I see him.
Yes.
And it's like I can sit in our reading nook and like read my books or read my Bible, and he can read a book next to me, and we can be in complete silence, but like that little acknowledgement of like, a smile or something is enough for me.
Yes. I
So
love
that's
that.
like my biggest thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that flows out of you. So here's your mini assignment. Okay, you ready? You're like, "Well, I didn't mean
Mhm.
getting work from this question." Yeah, you're getting work. Here's your mini assignment to help with that. Okay, because what we now know, I won't get to all the neurophysiology of it all, but the brain tends to zero in and highlight what we tell what we tell it's important. When we say, "Hey, track this item," right? You buy a new car, right? And
Mhm.
you think it's the brand new thing. You've never seen this car. It's gonna be awesome. You drive it from the dealership, and everywhere you look, everybody now has that car.
It's
It's like,
that car.
I see my car everywhere. It's there. It's there. It's there. It's going on. What's happened is you told your brain, "Hey, focus on these and capture it. This is important. It gets me from A to Z. If I can't find this thing, I may be walking around in the park and trying to get the beep thing, at the
Mhm.
in the parking lot. What floor did we park on? Yeah, you don't want
Yeah.
that, so your brain zeroes in on that. It's the same thing with these things like this. So here's the assignment. If you can, um, if you have, I don't know if you have a journal, if you have a little
Mhm.
book that you keep close to you, or even your phone,
Mhm.
I want you to start tracking. I want you to start tracking every small interaction, no matter
Mm.
how a nod, a smile, right? every positive small interaction, I want you to capture it and just put a little check mark. It's not to grade them, right? You're not grading each other. And hopefully he'll get the chance to see this and he'll do the same thing for you after he identifies what are those small things for him. And what you do by checking those little boxes, getting up in the morning, oh, he said hi. Oh, I felt him give me a hug when he crawled in the bed or whatever. When you start notching those deals down, it triggers in your brain because many interactions, up to 60%, and in couples that are, you're not in this area, but for couples that are in the red zone, to where they hate each other almost, you know, and it happens. You can always come back from those spaces, but they get to 80% that they actually miss the small interactions, small acts of appreciation, the small glances, the smiles, because it's not important to them. So what we do, especially when you're in this area now, we're like, we're in a good space. Now we want to figure out this dating game, or I just want to know more so I can help somebody else, whatever that space is. You start notching those, and what it does, it tells your brain, it starts training your brain, focus in on these. And what you'll start finding is it could be up to 30 to 40% more small interactions that you'll start noticing. What will it do? Oh, he sees me. Oh,
Mhm.
I see him. And it keeps that pilot lit. So then we start moving closer to the date night deal, and we're going to dates or anything like that. That thing is ready. You turn that gas up, you go on a vacation. Now you're ready for the real sparks, but because you did the work of the pilot. Does that make sense?
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay, good, good, good. So have I kicked that dead horse long enough?
Yeah, I think that you answered that perfectly. Even when you were talking about the pilot light situation, at first when you said pilot, I thought you were talking about my brain immediately went to a plane and I was like, well, a plane can't fly without a pilot, it just will stay stagnant.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like I was like, okay. And then whenever you explain, my I guess last question is for those who also have children.
Mm,
So right now we do our dates at home and it's fine. Like I said, budget does not matter to us. We're totally fine. Like we can be at home making our normal dinner and spending that time together.
yeah,
But when we I see like one thing my husband has told me. He's like, I just want to go on vacation, like you were saying. I want to go do something. And I'm like, okay, well, right now we just can't because we have other priorities.
yeah,
What would you say with couples with children? What if you have no childcare? Like, how do you continue to date at home when you have no childcare? And if one person in the marriage finds it to be boring or just not fit
yeah,
for,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. 100, 100%. Cammy and I always go back to us because we're open books like that. But we had a stint where we had, you know, small kids, and what do we I haven't answered your other question yet about the regular how often. I
Mhm.
haven't forgotten you there. I'm gonna get there. But I love this as well. But we had this deal where I would think we had a date, right? Because we watched the show and had popcorn on the couch. And she's like, no, I was in the
It's
house.
another day.
That was
Yeah.
not a date. And I'm like, what do you mean that's not a date? Okay. Now, was it a date? Was it not a date? Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
Both, both. But here's the important portion. Going back to when we would go out, we'd go out on these dates, and we were sitting there, and I had a business that was collapsing at the time. It was crazy. And so we'd be at Denny's. That's all we could do. We go
Mhm.
get a couple of eggs at Denny's, right? And get some coffee or some black sludge that we call coffee, and drink
Mhm.
that. And so we'd be sitting there, and we're looking at each other, and we start talking about something, start arguing about it. We start talking about this, start arguing about it, and we start
Mhm.
all this stuff is happening. We're like, we're supposed to be out connecting, and we're fighting, because here's the deal that was missed, that I want to equip you with is you got the pilot, cool. The next portion is you need to understand or identify the dream. I call it identifying the dream. What I mean by that is, what is the motivation or the pull for going on the date in the first place? We didn't do
Mhm.
that. We didn't take the time to figure out, all right, Cam, why exactly do you want to connect at this date? Now, is it for her? Is it, hey, I want to share, I want to catch up? Or is it, I want to solve problems? Or is it, I want to glare at you for me? Or you know what I mean? I'm being
Mhm.
facetious. But here's the thing, you have to uncover the dream, and the dream goes way deeper than just, hey, I want to communicate with you. And it's a tool. Matter of fact, what I'll do, in the group, I'm going to drop in a tool that I've created. It's part of a course. It's $1,000 course that I do, but I'm putting it in there free. A whole segment we have on identifying the dream. I'm going to dump it in there. It's a worksheet. But what it's about, it's slowing down any desire. We're using dating, and figure out what is it about the date that I want, and
Mm,
why do I want it? For example, someone that grew up in a single family home, turnkey parents, they came in, gone, came in, never had any time just to sit and be. That's gonna get carried into the marriage, right? They're gonna feel,
mhm.
hey, and maybe that date to them means I'm healing that little kid that never was able to just sit with the person they loved and have a
Yeah.
burger, right? You never, or it could be the individual who's always on the run. You know, they get home as a child and they were always running, never sat down and ate, right? Never did any of that stuff. And now they're married and they're like, I don't want to create that. The dream is that a loving family, because the kids spell love Play, right? And
Mhm.
Time. That's how kids spell love. They don't have time, they don't have play, they don't feel loved. And so now that definition, are you tracking where I'm going here? That
Yeah.
definition gets pulled into the future. And so now I'm like, to feel loved, I need someone that will sit down and eat with me in dinner at the dinner table. Okay. It's so liberating when you're able to identify that, not just for you, but for your spouse. And if you can bring a conversation about around that, this is
Mm,
where here's where the magic happens. Now you understand, what is the date? What need is the date fulfilling in my husband? What need clearly is the date fulfilling in me, right? And now when you have those two things figured out, now you're ready to start asking the question of, what's our date going to look like? Because if I
yeah.
don't know that every night of the week she was getting pulled here, pulled there, pulled going here, going there, and never just got to be in her home silently and eat. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just giving you an example. If I don't know that, and for date night, I'm like, hey, let's go to Chuck E. Cheese. Right? He's like, Chuck E. Cheese, or let's go to Maggiano's.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
That's
want to
so
sit down and
true.
have a sandwich, right? That
Mhm.
is, but when you identify what you're actually trying to meet, the need that you're trying to fulfill, now you're ready to get to those other answers, right? A
Mm,
lot of times we jump to the what way too fast, okay? Or how do we get there way too fast? We need to start with the, all right, what's is the pilot lit? You know, we need to get to the why. Here's why I want to date you, right? Here's why I want to be
wow.
moving it down to, what's the dream? What are our goals? What are we trying to fulfill in these dates? Now we're ready to laser in and custom design dates that meet both of our needs. I know
Mm,
that's a huge long way to answer what seems to be a simple question. But when you're armed with those things, now you're able to step into that space and be like, okay, I know what the dream is. I get the pilots. We've been keeping the pilot lit. Now we can talk about how often. Like, man, I need twice a week because I that part of me, and it gives you grace, right? I have so much
yeah.
more grace for my wife when I understand her dream, the wound that's there that the date might be healing, right? You're like, man,
Mm.
I just want to sit here and have popcorn. That's what I want to do. But she doesn't want to sit and have popcorn. She wants she wants to be out somewhere. But when I understand what comes behind that, the dream behind that, I can say, okay, not that we're gonna always do that, right? But now grace and a conversation can be built around the schedules. So once a week for some couples, yes, that's what they need. Once a month for some couples, yes, that's what they
Hmm,
need.
that's
Uh,
good.
Never for some couples, yes. But when you build out, I wouldn't say yes. There should be some dating, right?
Yeah.
Step one, get that pilot. Step two, and I'm gonna release that in the group, and you can go in there and download that. Decoding the dream, and it's big. And let me know, and I'll go with it. Go work, because you won't have the back end trainings that lead up to that in that course. But it's pretty standalone worksheet, and I can help you walk through that with Cody to say, hey, okay, here's what. here, you know, and I want to give that as a gift to you because you guys are you're awesome, and you jumped
Thank
on here on a
you.
recording deal. I'm gonna carve, I'll carve off time for you to walk that through with you guys, so you guys understand, hey,
Thank
what's
you.
the dream that's fueling here. I want to do that for you. And
Thank you so
then
much.
oh, you're more than welcome. And then from there, we can look at, okay, how often now,
Yeah.
what kind of dates that we have, um, with kids, right? Because that's a real factor. Am I going to be freaking out about, am I out on dates, but all I'm thinking about is my kids, right? Or where they at? Okay, but that's
Yeah.
the last tier of that ladder.
That's the last thing on my mind when I'm on a date is
Right.
I'm like, she's fine. She's literally fine. She's fine. Like I just want no, I guess to piggyback off of something that you said, you
Mhm.
know, how you're talking about with kids, they like playtime is like their definition of love, right?
Yeah,
So with Cody, he never got to eat like fast food growing up. So his definition of a date is going to McDonald's at the drive-through. And I'm like disgusted by that because I'm like, are you serious? Like, let's go like to Dave and Buster's, or let's go do this, or let's go sit down at a restaurant, or let's go do something. Like, I just want to go do something.
yeah, yeah.
How on earth? I mean, I guess it comes with the dream thing that you're going to walk us through with.
Oh, nailed it out of the park. Yeah,
Okay, because I was gonna say, how on earth do I tell him? Like we made it fun one time and we did this rock, paper, scissors thing, and whoever won got to pick like an appetizer, an entree. I'm sorry, drinks, appetizer, entree
I
from
love
three
that.
different places. So we did that. It was winter and we didn't have Blair, and we did that, and it was like I guess affordable way to do fast food, right? But how do I tell him in a way, in a loving way to say like, if you ask me to get McDonald's again, I'm gonna scream. You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel. This morning for breakfast, I'm like, let's go to this cafe. You know, we have like extra money in our spending to do this. Like, let's go sit down at a cafe. And he's like, I don't want that. I want McDonald's. I'm
I love
like,
it.
oh my
I know a
word.
cafe we can go to, McDonald's. Hey, I love it. And the
The
short to
McCafe.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
the short to that is
Yeah.
understanding what you're saying, understanding the dream and how to communicate the dream, and then agreeing to be very strategic with your dates,
Okay.
staggering them. Now is when you're ready to start building it out. Okay, well, this is my need for a date. This is his need for a date. Now we can stagger that. Maybe we go here. Maybe we stop and grab a McFlurry and a fry
Yeah.
on our way to this place. And maybe there's compromise that can be made. But the very first deal, you have to make sure that pilot's lit. You got to find that
Mm,
dream, and now you're able to speak to your spouse, the one you love, right? The one you've given your life to. You're able to speak to them from the position of understanding the underlying need and desire that's there, because that's not going to change. It's
mm,
hardwired into them. They're not choosing it. Like just choose something else, you know.
yeah.
McAllister's. No,
Yeah.
it's hardwired into them. And the more that you see that and you actually communicate and see the things that are hardwired into you, you're able to communicate those things from a position of grace, love, mutual submission, and then making the decision together.
Perfect. Wonderful. This helped me out a lot. Thank you
Well,
so
good.
much.
Good. Awesome questions. Thank you again for all your engagement and all your support. Appreciate that. Yeah, so I'll send that. I'm gonna drop that in the group. I'll send you a link that we can schedule, and I'll work directly with you to get you from A to C in that. Then you get
Thank
to
you.
take it from C to Z, and we'll go from there. All right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this so much.
All right. Awesome. 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 You take care. All right.
Bye.
God
Yep,
bless.
sounds good. Bye. God bless you.